Hi everyone, it's Brian Rose from London Real. I just finished giving my very first TEDx talk yesterday, and I wanted to offer you a few tips and tricks on how you can give your own TED Talk and what I did in order to prepare and get yourself ready to kind of step out of your comfort zone, make some changes, and do some public speaking. Now, I know the first thing you guys think is, no way I could do a TED Talk. And I understand that emotion. I felt that way 6 months ago. But yes, you can. And I gave a talk yesterday. It was a little bit about my journey for London Real. And then I started to talk about fear and something called resistance that the author Stephen Pressfield wrote in a book called The War of Art, which is a fantastic read. I highly recommend that. And I tied it kind of all together about my journey and what I've learned by producing this show for the last 3 years. But I could have, quite frankly, given 10 other different TED Talks about little minutia, about different things about fear or haters or all these different things. So I believe that every one of you has a TED Talk in you, and you'd be surprised if you go to the TED website or TEDx's. There's all sorts of little crazy nuanced pieces, and they can be funny, or they can be educational, or they can be about a story in your life or a project or an idea. There's really an unlimited possibility. Yet I think people get a little intimidated with the red circle and the fact that you've seen Bill Gates on there or all these important people. But in fact, there's so many of these TEDx's that are local to you that you can find one that's happening. They're literally everywhere around the world. I think in the London greater area here, there's probably going to be 20 this year. And so you can find one that will feature you. And you know, I say on London Real that it's about the journey, and I know this seems like a tagline, and I guess it is, but it really is about the journey. And I had an amazing time yesterday giving that talk, and I had a huge adrenaline spike both before and after, and it was an amazing experience. But the talk wasn't about me giving it yesterday. It was about all of my weeks of preparation up until then. It was about the fantastic people I met that were giving the talk. It's about all the other speakers I met that day and all the connections I made with everyone that went. And so the value I get out of this talk is not about the 15 minutes. It's not even about the video I'm going to put up on YouTube and it's going to be watched, I don't know, 50,000 times or whatever. It's about the better person I am now because I made that video. And so just think about that when you're going to do it. Just don't think about you getting nervous standing up there, and don't worry about the end product. Just trust me, you're gonna end up being like a 200% better person if you go and try to do this. And I would say, well, if you don't want to do this, do some other public speaking, but I really would put this as a goal. There's definitely a TEDx in your community in the next 3 months or 6 months. If not, you can travel or take a 1-hour flight and just be there and do that. So I encourage it. You know, one of my guys that I spend time with is Roger Frampton. He's the guy that's helped me with my muscle up, and I train with him all the time. And he is doing the same thing right now. He contacted, 10 or 15 TEDx organizations, and he's getting feedback. And the idea is that we're gonna get him to do a talk in the next 3 months. And Roger's in his 20s. He's never done anything like this before, but he's got all the elements to do this. And I've seen him talk, and he's very talented, and he's got a fantastic message. And so I'm kind of pushing him that way. And I thought I would just make this video and maybe push you guys that way too, because I had a wonderful experience doing this. And I think it's just a valuable piece of your journey if you try to do it. So here's a few tips as what I learned. I by no means am the master of TED Talks. I don't even know how this one turned out. Everyone said it was good, but I don't remember a damn thing because it's like a lot of UFC fighters at the end of the fight, they don't even remember what happened for 15 minutes. And that's kind of what it felt like. I was just riding this big monster wave on a surfboard like Laird Hamilton, and I don't even remember what happened. But I think it went good, and my whole piece was just to slow it down. And so it's funny, I was in the back, actually in the bathroom in front of a full-length mirror before I went on, and I was just looking at myself and I was self-talking myself. And it was just like Dirk Diggler in the movie Boogie Nights. I don't know if you remember that scene at the end where he's talking to him and he's like, oh, I'm like, okay, Brian, you can handle this. You're the man. You're gonna go nice and slow. You're gonna go nice and slow. You're gonna own the stage. It is your stage. These people are there to hear you. And I was doing all this crazy stuff. And I did everything Dirk was saying, except I didn't undo my trousers at the end, if you know that movie. So, the point is that your mental state when you give it is important. It's important for you to be loose and to be ready. And to be not nervous means that you had to have put in the work and put in the practice. And I spent, probably 10 weeks on this speech. And the guy that ran the show, his name is Alex Mary, a very bright and hardworking young man who spent a lot of time with me right here in the studio working on my speech, giving me negative feedback. I performed it in front of him, and it was a piece of dog shit about 3 weeks ago. And you might not believe that. People at the show, I told them that. They didn't believe that because it looked good at the end. But you know, I had hard times and I had moments, and I uploaded a version up to YouTube like 8 different times and sent it over to him. And I was constantly trying to get better, and it really was bad in the beginning. So the point is that you want to write this out and get a really good idea, and then you want to practice and practice and practice and refine, just like a stand-up comedian would, you know, get the feedback, see what feels right, perform it in front of some people, see what they like. And if you put the work in, then when you go to do it, you won't get nervous, and you'll know that you have prepared, and you know that it's solid. And there were some great talks yesterday, but be honest, some people were more prepared than others, and it showed. And the audience appreciates preparation because you're not wasting their time. And when someone gets up there and they pull out a piece of paper and they start reading from their notes, the audience is like, really? You know, we spent time to be here, we paid to be here, and we kind of expect a bit more. And I think that's true about any piece of public speaking. So preparation is key, and getting those ideas and writing them down, because ultimately you have to craft these ideas in a great way. You can't just get up there and talk about this experience you had, you know, where you almost got killed in a plane or something like that. You really have to craft it kind of like a comedy routine where it has strong points, punchlines, quietness, that kind of thing. So do that when you're preparing. Like I said, practice in front of the camera, and then practice in front of real people, and then real people you don't know. And that's the greatest way to prepare. Watch previous TED Talks, and then once you get in touch with your TEDx representative, they're going to send you a lot of information as far as what to do, what not to do. I just had Guy Kawasaki in my studio, and he's just given a TEDx talk in Berkeley, and I was watching him, and he had a great thing that said, you know, if your talk is 30 minutes, then it should be 10 slides. You know, it should be, he had like a certain ratio. And he even had like the size of the font should be half of the average age in the audience. So if you got a bunch of 60-year-olds, you use 30-point font. If you got a bunch of 20-year-olds, you might be able to get away with 10-point font. So just little things like that. But less is more when it comes to visuals. Don't be reading your slides. They should just be cues that add to the story. They shouldn't be telling the story. So I had 7 slides yesterday. You'll see them, and hopefully they were relevant but not overwhelming, because people are ultimately looking at you and they want to learn from you. They're not there to see a movie. So that's that suggestion there. The other thing which I wish I had done more of is get more of your people there. I wish there was probably 10 or 15 London Reelers there, which was a lot because it was, I think, about 100 people there. But get more people, get your family there, because it'll get you amped up and it'll get you really invested in the process. And going back to Tai Lopez, into one of his cognitive biases is fear is one of our biggest cognitive biases, and then social pressure. And so I built up all this pressure not to fail, not to embarrass myself, not to embarrass you guys. And so that way I worked on it, and then it made it better. And so by having more people there that I know, it just makes you more responsible and more invested, and then you'll get more out of it. And like I said, it ultimately isn't about the talk, because I'm going to put this video up and then everyone's going to watch it and then no one's going to care. Just like I did with Max Kaiser. I was on there and I had a great show with Max, and everyone's like, this is amazing, Brian. And I was like, that's cool. But then it gets forgotten. And the only thing you'll really take away from it is the person that you've grown to become by pushing yourself to do this. So 2015 is going to be all about me getting you to push yourself to the next level, because I'm not satisfied anymore by just giving you inspirational people every week. If we don't do quantifiable changes with that, then I think we're kind of missing the point. So there's more things coming with that this year. I'll have some announcements soon of a way that we can keep you guys accountable, and that way you can check in with us, and we're going to have some private groups and a lot more information. So that's coming soon. But my whole purpose this year is to get you guys to do some quantifiable things that are going to make you better people, and not just to have this be your entertainment for a Sunday afternoon, because that's not the point of London Real. And you know, I'm living proof that you can change yourself based on the people you associate with, which is what I've been doing. And just look at all the guests I've had this year. Look at the $50 billion man recently. You know, there's a correlation here between me spending time with these people and not. So there you go. Here's some tips on a TEDx talk. The plan is now go to your local area, search in some geography, and start finding out when your next TEDx talk is, And the most important thing is to book it. I call it throwing your hat over the fence. I'm a master of it, I must say. I'm not a master of a lot of things, but I toss my hat over a lot. And that concept is that you book yourself for something. Maybe you tell people you're going to do it, or you spend the money on something, and then that forces you to do it. And the way our minds work is that future events, they don't register as much as short-term events. So if I were to tell you tomorrow you're going to have to be at a TED Talk, you're going to be like, no, 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 no. But if I tell you in 6 months, and you'll be ready, you'll be like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And so you get yourself to make these commitments, and then later you have to back it up. And so I call it tossing your hat over the fence. It's like me saying, London Real is going to be here every week. Well, I said it, so now I got to own it. So it's things like that. So we're going to get you to toss that hat over the fence, and the idea is that you have to now go over the fence and grab it. So it's a trick, and I think it's a trick you can use. Again, as Ty would say, it's a cognitive bias that you can use to help you, as opposed to it being used to limit you, which is the way we use them all the time. Oh, I can never do that. Oh, I can never do that. Well, get yourself mentally invested in that by tricking your brain, and then you can get yourself to do it. And that's the only way I could have done this thing. You know, I think it was 3 or 4 months ago, I was looking around and I was like, why haven't you given a TED Talk? I mean, you're the host and founder of London Real. People expect you to give a TED Talk, so get it done. And so that's what I did. So that's what happened. And to be honest, it's not rocket science. I have a degree from MIT. And to be honest, I got that one day at a time. One day at a time. And just like everything I've done, it's like one bit at a time. So if you see anything that's done by anyone impressive, they got there one day at a time. So keep that in mind. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Comment on YouTube. I'd love to hear your feedback, and please share it on Twitter. Please share it on Facebook. As Guy Kawasaki told me on Friday, the number of shares is how you know if your content was good, not by the number of likes. Anyone can like something or favorite something on Twitter, but if you get a retweet or a share, it means someone is vouching for you. They are saying that I think this content is important. So I'll be watching these shares. Please share them for me. Obviously, subscribe on YouTube. That's another big one for us. And we have a fantastic kind of VIP email going out now. So get on that, which will also give you early access to videos, our weekly episodes, and full access to our videos every week. So click on there, give us your email and all that. More videos coming. Thank you so much. And I appreciate all the support. Peace.